Hello and welcome back to the Coming of Cage podcast, your Nicolas Cage movie review podcast. I am one of your longtime hosts, Derek, and your other longtime host, Ryan, is right over there.
That's right. We are such long-time hosts. And today we're back to normal. We just finished doing our Spider-Noir two-parter, and now we're
Yeah,
back to watching the movies.
that's right. After 3 episodes, because we also did our 100 movie retrospective. So we haven't recorded a movie review in almost 2 months.
Nice.
It's crazy. But here we are, ready to talk another Nicolas Cage flick, the 2015 movie The Runner.
A movie that is widely debated on whether it should exist or not, or why it exists.
Yeah, so this movie, I'll just read the synopsis. In the aftermath of the 2010 BP oil spill, an idealistic but flawed politician is forced to confront his dysfunctional life after his career is destroyed in a sex scandal. Now, you might think this is based on a real person, but it's not.
No, and we didn't know that going into it, so we were like, well, surely this isn't gonna happen because they wouldn't make a movie about this person if that's the way it ended. And then it ended that way. And then you go, what was even the point of this? Who saw
Yeah,
who heard about the BP oil spill and was like, what I need to do is make a movie about a fictional character trying to run for office after this oil spill.
basically. It would have been better if it was a true story because at least it could say, well, they decided to make it because it's a thing that happened.
Right.
Someone had to they had to come up with this idea. So this is written and directed by Austin Stark, who I'm not really familiar with. I don't think he's done anything else that I know about. Really, I'm looking at his IMDb. He hasn't done much. After The Runner, he only did two more things: a short, and then produced something called The God Committee in 2021 that I've never heard of. Um, he directed it as well, and he directed something called Coup in 2023. I don't really know, so I don't know. Again, I don't know how some of these people get the actors that they do. I mean, you've got Nicolas Cage, Sarah Paulson, Peter Fonda, Wendell Pierce, Connie Nielsen. Like I'm not saying it's an Avengers cast, but these are well-known actors. Um, yeah, I don't know. The tagline for the movie is "Power always comes at a price."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, okay. It's rated R for some
It's
reason. There was very little reason for it to be rated R except for maybe one scene in there that probably still could have gotten to PG-13. Uh,
yeah, you see like one and a half Sarah
Titties.
Paulson boobs.
Yeah. And then it's only an hour and 30 minutes, which is probably the best part about it.
God.
That's
Yeah,
not true. Nicolas Cage did a really good job with the material he was given for the most
he,
part.
I don't
We'll,
know.
we'll,
It's
we'll
it's
dig into
rated
that.
it's rated R for language and sexual content. Um,
Seems like a stretch, but
yeah. Yeah, so I mean just kind of the general premise like just doesn't really sound that exciting to begin with, but depressing movie though, man. Depressing movie.
yeah, there's no like happy ending or like yeah. Well, we should probably get right into it. If you haven't listened to this podcast before, welcome. You picked a weird one to start with. But yeah, what we do is I take notes throughout the movie. With this movie, normally I have about 4 pages of notes. This one I have two and like point 0.1 pages of notes because very little actually happens in this movie
It's
that's
more than
worth
I thought you'd
noting.
have.
Huh? That's
That's
more
more
than
than
you
I
thought.
thought you would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we go through those notes, and if I don't remember, which happens pretty regularly, Derek tries to interpret whatever my cryptic note was. And that's pretty much how it goes. So right away, we start off with 4 title screens, so you know it's going to be a good one. We should probably add
I
that onto
mean,
our bingo card, 3 or more title screens.
I don't know. Like I actually that made me feel better about it because a lot of the smaller ones have like 7 or 8. Four didn't seem too bad. But Saturn was not involved, which I've started to learn is probably not a good sign.
Yeah, he at least has some confidence in it if he's in the production of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
right away we get a helicopter establishing shot, which is
Yay.
a spot on our bingo card. Um, yeah, so we get a helicopter shot of an oil rig explosion,
Hmm.
which is related to the BP oil spill in 2010. You know, this is like we mentioned at the beginning. This is based off a true event, but not the
Right.
story is completely fabricated outside of that
Yeah,
event.
exactly. That's all that we really know to be true is the oil spill and then the general impact that it had on the people of Louisiana, but all the characters are fake.
Yeah. Nick is. We find out right away that he's a congressman.
Hmm.
So we get government or military employee, which is another square on our bingo card. We got. I'm not going to spoil whether we got a bingo or not, but we got a lot of spots. This was not a movie that I expected to have this many spots on our bingo card, but it hits a lot of stuff.
It does.
Um, we get. He's doing a weird accent, which I think is supposed to be Southern, but kind of sounds more like Boston or Maine at some points.
It's supposed to be a New Orleans accent, which is really different from his Zondali New Orleans accent that he did
Yeah.
many, many years earlier. But yeah, it's supposed to be a New Orleans Creole kind of accent. I'm
Something we
not
have talked about
sure.
before with Nicolas Cage is we love him and his acting ability, but his ability to do accents is pretty hit or miss. And I think this one was a bit of a miss, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah, but it does take place in New Orleans, which is another square on the
yes,
bingo
yeah,
card.
yeah, we haven't gotten quite to that point really yet, but yes, that I
Okay.
have that a couple notes down. We get to watch him going for a jog, which I am
Yeah.
assuming that combined with the running for Senate thing is where they got the name the runner. Because he goes for a jog like 3 times in the movie.
I assumed they meant the campaign, but I suppose it could be literal.
Well, why do they need to show him jogging 3 times then? It literally had no impact on the story.
The first one I thought was relevant because in the first one it felt like he was kind of like trying to be connected to his town,
Hmm. What
to
about the other
and all
two?
of that. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I fell apart after that. But in the
Yeah,
first one, I was like, okay, they're trying to show he's a man
I
of the
think it's
people,
literal.
and
I think it's
yeah,
literal. I don't
okay,
think this movie is deep enough to do anything else. But yeah, so we get to see him do a testimony about this BP oil spill
hmm,
that's really affected his congressional district. And he's crying through the testimony and is so emotional that he doesn't even give the full testimony and has to like hand off his testimony to somebody else to like put into the full record or whatever. Um,
yeah. It's supposed to be very genuine, right? He really does feel for these people, and he works with them. He grew up there. He's from there. It's his home. All that type of stuff. So they're painting him in the picture as like this is one of the good guys, right?
right,
He's a man of the people. He really cares about the blue collar worker. He's not there to protect big oil. He's there to protect the people of New Orleans and
right.
Louisiana.
And Nick's acting was great in this scene. Like I
Oh
said, I
yeah.
think his acting was actually really good throughout this whole movie. Um,
No, there
More
were
so than it needed to be. This movie is not good enough to get this level of acting from Nic Cage, but that's what you get when you hire him. So,
there were a couple of scenes, this one included, that like did get me emotionally invested at times. At this point in the movie, after this scene, I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be like some legit heavy stuff. Because I thought he was very, very good in this scene in particular, and throughout the movie. But this scene got me, and it set my expectations to a different level early on.
yeah. He gets he meets with his one of his advisors, I guess, after his jog, and the guy tells him that this has gone viral and like he needs to use this testimony to push towards a Senate run, which I guess is kind of his ultimate goal as a career.
Yeah. But again, he strikes he's a man of the people because he's like, I don't want to, he doesn't want to, oh, what's the word? He doesn't want to leverage the oil spill for his own personal gain. Exploit. He doesn't want to exploit the oil spill for his Senate run, but everyone around him certainly wants him to.
Yeah, and he he is very atypical politician at this point.
Hmm.
Where where most of our thoughts about politicians are that they would leverage this
Right.
to move on because I think a lot of people don't have the highest opinion of politicians, and a lot of times rightfully so. Um,
Well, and I think it reinforces that by having literally every professional around him pushing him in that direction throughout the movie.
right. Um, yeah, and we get some establishing shots of New Orleans showing that this is definitely kind of Bourbon Street area, stuff like that,
Hmm.
showing that this is where it takes place. And of course, if you know anything about Nic Cage, New Orleans is a special place to him. It's where he's going to be buried someday, and that and Las Vegas are basically his two major places that he spends time, as far as I can tell. And I'm assuming he has a home in New Orleans as well as Las Vegas, but
Not that I know of, but I'd be surprised if he didn't.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, also a good enough portion of his movies take place in both those cities that we have spots on our bingo card for. Takes place in Las Vegas, takes place in New Orleans. So
I kind of feel
um,
like cheating and making that one
one
square
square.
because
We thought the same thing, honestly. But we find out pretty early on that he is cheating on his wife
yeah.
with someone 10 plus years younger, which is a bingo card
Mhm.
slot. But yeah, a cheerleading coach, and she is much younger. That
Yeah,
actress
she's
just turned 40 this year, or this year or last year, and this was filmed 11 years ago.
mm.
So
Well, the character is supposed to be in their 20s. I forget if it was
she
like
was in
24 or
her 20s. She
27 they
would that would
said,
make her
but
29 at the time of
yeah.
filming. So yeah, um, we find out that he's sober
Hmm.
for 16 years, which
Long
is
time.
which is a very big deal. But
Hmm.
as soon as they said that, I'm like, well, he's not going to be sober very long because they don't bring that up unless it's going to be something that's challenged during the movie.
Well, I thought they were gonna make it the thing with him and his father. That
Oh,
was gonna be,
gotcha.
you know,
Well, they tried to
which
later, but
yeah.
um, but yeah, it comes out that he was cheating on his wife. Like, so found some security footage or something of him making out in an elevator with this woman. And the
Yep.
news headline, did you catch what the news headline was? It
I
was
probably
so funny.
something about drilling, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
congressman caught onshore drilling.
Right.
And keep in
Right.
mind that the BP oil crisis just happened
It just happened.
in universe.
Like
And then
too
this,
soon.
yeah, it's like, I mean, I find it hilarious now that they made that headline, but like that choice back then would have been a career ender.
Whoever made that decision in production, though,
Yeah,
just kudos.
touche. Yeah,
I don't know who made that call, but
yeah,
that's a headline.
exactly. 5 points to Gryffindor. Um, yeah, so his wife calls a meeting. Well, his wife is mad at him about the cheating, obviously, and there's some stuff going on there. But she calls his dad over,
Hmm.
who happens to be a former mayor of New Orleans, who also was rocked by scandal.
Right. He had a very successful mayoral career and then just floundered at the end and scandal after scandal. But what's really shocking to me through all of this is how, his wife, played by Connie Nielsen, she like just keeps wanting to push forward. like this whole time, like, don't resign and all of this other stuff. Like, resign, then we're gonna get a divorce. Like, she's mad at him, but the career is more important to her.
Yeah, she's there to leech off his success.
Well, she's an extremely successful lawyer on her own right, but I think
But that pushes her even further into the stratosphere.
she and there's a line about it where she makes some comment. He's like, it's not everything has to be about career, and she disagrees with him. So like that's the thing. Like that's all she cares about. She just cares about
It's
the
very
career.
much it's very much a trope, for a
Yeah,
lot of storytelling. Like, I just saw He-Man in theaters not that long ago, and that's very much what Evil Lynn is for Skeletor. Skeletor is kind of an idiot, and Evil Lynn is just kind of knows he's powerful and just kind of latched on there to further her own, you know, career or whatever. And that's very much that's not the only example, but that happens a lot
yeah.
in media, that there's, someone that is latched onto someone else just to further themselves, despite being hurt by this person multiple times. And we're led to
Well,
believe that
and
this is not the first time.
right. And in her defense, I guess they got together like in law school. So they've been
She's
together. We
invested a lot of time into this career.
Yeah, we find out later it was 25 years they've been together. So, I think she thinks I've invested 25 years. I'm not going to just cut that loose because this idiot did something stupid.
Right. She doesn't really seem to care about him that much.
She does love him. We find out, later in the movie. She does love him, but that's not as
Does she
important.
though? Because it's not really, I don't know. Everything she does seems like she's doing it to further her own.
I think that's the priority. I think like career is number one. Yeah, and he's two or three, but she still does love him, not as much as her ambition.
Right. Her ambition is driving her love for him, basically. She's forcing herself to, at least it's the vibe I got. She's forcing herself to love him so that she can further her own career. But maybe we agree to disagree on that. But yes, she
Yeah,
does say at this point, while she's meeting with his father, because he wants to resign, it seems like.
Nick does. Yeah.
And yeah, and his dad tells him it's not a big deal. People do this all the time. You just weather the storm and you'll be okay. And just keep focusing on the oil spill. And though, yes, his wife tells him, if you quit, if you resign, I am going to leave you.
hmm
Um,
And this is also where we find out that Nick and his father are not really estranged necessarily, but they haven't spoken in a year.
yeah,
So they're not on great terms.
yeah. He goes and tells his other. He has, I think, I don't know if one's like a social media manager and the other one's like campaign advisor. But whatever this other
Yeah.
woman is, he goes and tells her that he's going to resign.
And that's Sarah Paulson's character.
Yeah, he
Um,
tells her that before he tells his wife that he's going to resign.
I think she's a publicist because that comes up later in the movie. So I think she's his publicist, and I think Wendell Pierce is his like campaign manager. I think.
Fair enough. It really doesn't make any difference in the overall bearing of the story.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, I think you're probably right. But yeah, so basically the next scene after this, he and his wife are sitting in bed, and she's like, "I can't believe you told her and not before you told me." And then they go to sleep, and the next morning he's in his own place with boxes that are unpacked. It's not literally the next morning, but the next scene
Yeah,
that we see, he's now been. I don't remember if it said how long it's been, but
it did
he's
not.
he's drinking again. He's watching the
It's not that
news.
long because at some point we get a conversation with him and Wendell Pierce again. And he says it's been 9 months.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, so like this is less than 9 months,
Yeah.
right? So that's all we know.
Yeah. So he's drinking. He's not sober anymore. He's definitely gotten off the wagon a bit.
hmm
But now he's started a nonprofit to benefit the people that have been mostly like fishermen and stuff that are like shrimp boat people that have been affected by the oil crisis.
Right. So this is supposed to show us that yes, he made a mistake and did a bad thing, but he's also like trying to do good and he's still the same type of politician that he was before and he's there for the working man kind of concept.
Yeah, and his campaign manager, Wendell Pierce's character, tells him that he like jumped into this too quick.
Hmm.
Like he's against that. But then he decides to meet up with his publicist and talk about potential things, the future. And they ended up having a little bit of a personal conversation. He finds out that she's like getting divorced and whatever else. So he convinces her to go out with him that night and have some drinks as friends and just kind of, blow off steam or whatever. If
Well,
some
it turns out they've known each other since childhood. Their dads were colleagues, so that's an important factor. But yeah,
My note literally says out with publicist dash banged because they bang right
Yeah,
away as if there's
very
been
yeah.
like underlying sexual tension, which there was none earlier in the movie when we saw them together. I did not get any chemistry. I actually didn't think Nick really had very good chemistry with anybody except maybe Wendell Pierce and Peter Fonda in this movie. None of the women he really had any section or any kind of chemistry with that I felt. So that
That's why
was
I think they
weird.
kind of put in that backstory of they've been friends since childhood kind of thing, because that leads to maybe they don't have good chemistry, but they trust each other. They're safe,
Yeah.
right? For two people that are getting out of marriages type thing, and they just need to be with a person. I thought that's kind of what the movie was trying to correct.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, they bang. Um,
And
so
that's where
that's
you get
fun.
the brief nudity.
No, that's later in the movie.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
you're
they
right, it
bang
is.
again. Yeah, there's
No,
a
you're
note.
right.
No, because I definitely have a
Sorry.
note for titties.
Of
It's funny
course.
because we're playing the bingo card while we're watching these movies, and of course, we want to get a bingo. So, when it gets later in the movie, we start getting closer, and the titty pops out. We're like, boobies or titties. And we're just thinking about how our neighbors probably hear us yelling that while we're watching this movie. You gotta wonder what
You're
the hell's
very
going on in
excited
this
for
movie.
boobs.
Yeah, it's not just me. It's also my partner that's watching the movie with me. But it's funny. Um,
All in the name of bingo.
that's
Keijo
right.
bingo.
Yeah, if they come over, we'll explain it to them. Divorce papers is my next note. I think she had asked him to sign some papers and he drops it back off to her or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of the point here is this is also showing that he still the gate access still works in his car.
Yeah.
Like it's not a garage door opener, it's a gate opener, but it still works because that
Right.
comes back later in the movie. And there's a housekeeper who misses him. That's how like they were super wealthy. I mean, it's this massive mansion behind an
Okay.
iron gate.
Let me just touch on this real quick. We've brought up before that you and I are both car guys. This house is really nice. We're talking multi-million dollar house, probably.
Hmm.
And this guy is driving a Ford Contour.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
my
mean,
I
he
think
had
it's
that
because
before the divorce, though.
do we know that? I don't remember
Yes, I
seeing it
saw him
before the
driving. He
divorce.
drove it before the divorce. I'm
I
100%
thought he was
sure.
driving an SUV.
No, we saw him drive a Ford Contour up to like the shrimp boats and stuff like that before
Well,
that.
maybe that's part of his like working class image then, is that that's what he takes around town to
But then
feel
he goes
more.
to his multi-million dollar mansion. He's such a working class hero. You know
But
what I
maybe
mean?
but maybe that's the wife,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Like he's the one who moved out. He got this tiny little apartment
It's
that's
just
like
funny. I just think it's
you
bad
know.
storytelling. I mean, I see where you're going, but I just think it's bad storytelling. At least give him like a Lexus or something. That's still kind of a working man's luxury vehicle, you know?
No, I feel like it could have been fixed with an extra line or two,
Yeah,
but
like
it's just,
I drive this old clunker to because you know I want to be one with the people. I don't know. I guess
or
it could
something
have.
about how he hates the house or something, like just something, any kind of
Yeah, there you go. That would be a good way
anything,
to do it too.
but yeah, it's not in there for whatever reason, so it
It's
does
fine
kind of
because
stick out.
it doesn't need an explanation for anybody except us. It's like, why is this rich guy driving a Ford Contour?
No, I thought about it, but in my head, I thought it was, well, that's because in the divorce, he basically like he doesn't have any money left
He
between
had
that
it
and the
before the
foundation, but
divorce, but
I missed that. So
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, he now goes to meet up with his dad, who's I don't know if he's having medical issues at this point,
he's
but
certainly not doing well.
no. But yeah, he goes and like talks to his dad about everything going on,
Hmm.
and this is the point where he starts. His dad is drinking heavily, and he
Hmm.
starts to see like where his life is headed. I actually think it was really well acted by Nick, giving that kind of story without having to say that that's what his character is feeling. It was very
Hmm.
easy to interpret what he was doing, which that isn't always necessarily a thing that is easily given via a performance. But that, with combined with the editing, was very well done to show that that's basically what he was feeling. That he's seeing like this is what my life is going to be like in 20 years if I don't chill out.
Hmm.
Because his dad is clearly like a slave to smoking and drinking and these vices.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, and so when his dad gives him more, not great advice, and he kind of sees his future, and when he goes home, he pours out all his bottles of alcohol. And he goes into the nonprofit the next day and finds out that they've been given a $3.5 million grant. And I guess one thing we didn't mention earlier in the movie was that his wife set up a meeting with someone who wanted to fund his campaign potentially for Senate.
Right.
That was someone who, this is where the movie gets a little too close to home, I think, where somebody that has a vested interest in gas, oil.
In oil, because one of the things that Nick's character says really early on is that he is a proponent of like just renewable energy,
Yeah, green
cut
energy stuff.
right, cut fossil fuels, altogether, and this is a fossil fuel
Stop
guy.
drilling. Yeah, stop drilling
Yeah.
completely. That's what his character is
Hmm.
saying. And this guy is like, yeah, I'll give you the money, but you're gonna have to flip your view on this because I have, investments and I can't have them ruined.
Right.
And Nick refuses. Well, as soon as he got this $3.5 million grant, I went that it was from that guy. He's trying to convince him to do this. It's good news for his existing clients. And everybody's clapping when he comes in, even though that grant can't apply to any of his new clients. It's only for like
Right.
his existing clients because he comes out and says that later.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah,
to be fair, so it's not. It's less a grant. It's more that BP gave him $3.5 million for all the cases,
well, they
and we
call it a
find out.
grant.
Right, but it wasn't like it wasn't. It was from BP specifically, and
Yeah,
we
it
find
wasn't a
out later
government grant.
that this guy kind of like pressured them into it by kind of trying to position the Senate seat.
Did you know this actor from anywhere? The guy that played the
Bryan Batt. I mean, he looked a little familiar.
yeah, I knew him from Mad Men. That's the only thing I think I've seen him in.
Oh, okay.
Which he played a very different character in that show. So it was weird seeing him in this role, but he's
Yeah,
a
he
good
was in
actor.
12 Years
So
a Slave. He's done. I mean, he's done a bunch of things, of course, over the years.
yeah, he did.
But
I don't know. I think he was in every season of Mad Men, but he was in like the first five at least.
wow, okay.
So he did a lot on that show. But something we know, my partner noticed while we were watching this movie, was that Nick always wears blue shirts,
Oh, interesting.
which I thought was interesting up to this point anyway. Because I wonder, this is when I was like, I didn't know if it was a real story or not. And so I was like, I wonder if the guy he's like portraying like always wore blue shirts and that was just something that like they kept. And then
Uh,
we looked it up afterwards and obviously it's not based on a true story or a real person. But yeah,
right.
all his shirts up to this point are blue, which I thought was
Hmm.
interesting. But he's still wearing blue shirts. It does change later, but we get some more sexual scenes with Sarah Paulson. This is where the titty pops out, and we get some Nick on top sex, which is not a bingo card. Only woman on top sex is a bingo card thing. But we also have I what lazy sex or whatever, which we didn't get in this one either, where Nick is just like laying there,
Yeah, yeah.
unenthusiastic. I think is what it's.
Unenthusiastic sex. Yeah,
Yeah, we have
yeah.
several sex themed squares because it's a trope for him. But yeah, we get the nudity, and then
Which
yeah,
was not on my card, so I didn't get the nudity. But yeah,
bummer.
bummer.
Um, but yeah, they're just kind of doing this thing where yeah, they are being with each other because they know each other and it's just comfortable. And then as soon as, later in the movie, she has her ex, or like the person she was trying to divorce, come back, and they're going to try and work it out now. And it was never
Hmm.
really going to work because she had two kids, and like there's it's not really explained whether Nick wanted kids or not. He did say he wanted to meet them, but he didn't seem that excited about that prospect. So yeah, this is kind of their last time seeing each other. I think that was kind of the way she wanted to frame it, that it wouldn't work out
Right.
anyway, and so
Hmm.
they shouldn't contact each other anymore. But yeah, we find out that it was the oil investor that gave that grant, or they got BP to give that grant, and he was doing it to like try and get Nick interested in the funding for Senate, because there's another guy running for Senate that is gonna win if they don't find somebody, and he's like green energy kind of guy, so they're trying to find somebody that could beat him,
Hmm.
that
He
would
basically
support.
he takes that original position of stop drilling.
Right. And they're trying to get somebody that would win, could potentially win, and would have their interests in the
Hmm.
oil industry. And Nick refuses again, and we find out that actually Nick's ex-wife, kind of set this up,
As
because
she does.
she gets a text from the guy, and then she tries to convince Nick that it could work out if, or like, like she wants him back if he'll take this deal,
Hmm.
which is super manipulative and, again, furthering her own interests rather than anybody else's.
I mean, that was her position before, resign and I'm leaving you kind of thing. Like she's very consistent. At no point is she like wishy-washy or anything. You
Right.
know, she is who she is, and he knows.
Yeah.
So,
We finally see him in a purple shirt. That's
oh,
the
okay.
only non-blue shirt we see, but it's this late in the movie. Um, I don't remember what the deal is with his dad, if he had a surgery scheduled because he got sick, or if he had some sort of
Basically,
emergency that caused him to go to the hospital and then they were going to do the surgery.
no, so it's a mixture. So he gets sick earlier in the movie. That's why they have that scene on his porch.
Yeah.
But in general, like he's in liver failure, right?
Yeah.
And so they have to schedule the surgery, and then he's there to have the surgery. But he's clearly getting worse as time goes on. He's like on death's door at this point while he's waiting for the surgery.
And I do want to note that throughout the movie, the makeup is really bad. Like Sarah Paulson's makeup does not look good. Just a lot of characters, dude, the makeup is really fucking bad. But the one thing they did do a good job on, I thought, was the liver failure look
Hmm.
for
The
Peter Fonda.
jaundice.
Yeah, he has kind of the yellowed skin. He has the distended belly. They did a good job kind of showing what that looks like. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but some of the stuff probably would have been beyond their budget to show. Like the skin around the eyes wasn't yellow, the eyes weren't yellow, but for the most part, for a movie that didn't really have good makeup, that they did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, I mean the
Um,
movie's estimated to have a $6 million budget. And with the cast, you got to imagine half the budget was the cast,
Easily half, yeah.
right? Easily, right?
That's
You know,
why.
Nick
That's the
Tippett.
real reason why he was driving a Ford Contour.
That's why, yeah. It was one of the cruise car.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, because he typically makes like $1 million on these smaller budget films. So, between him, Sarah Paulson, Peter Fonda, and Connie Nelson, you figure that's 3 to 4 million right there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, his dad is going into surgery. I don't know if he's getting his liver removed or what exactly is going on.
Whatever the
It's
surgery was.
unclear. Yeah.
Yeah.
To fix his liver failure. And yeah, his wife is there, and she's trying to get him to go with this investor.
Hmm.
And he still says no, and he says, "Don't come back. I don't want to see you after the surgery." But his dad dies in surgery, as you knew was going to happen. I mean, there was no chance that that character was going to survive. Um, yeah, and we find out that he calls his publicist, which is the one that he was having kind of the romantic fling with, because he's broken up because his dad just passed away, and it's a tough thing. And he finds out that she doesn't want to talk to him because she's getting back together with her. I don't know if it's ex at this point, but
No,
her,
it's husband. They were only separated. They never actually
yeah, her
divorced.
husband, and they're trying to work it out. They're having a movie night. He's kind of interrupting the movie night. And
With
so,
the
yeah,
kids.
he goes back to drinking immediately,
Hmm.
as kind of expected. And while he's drunk, he decides to go back to his wife's house, and he finds out that uh his like garage door opener or whatever, the gate opener doesn't work.
Right, which is
And
a turning point because it had worked earlier, right? So this is like the door's really closed on the relationship now.
yeah. And so he backs up and rams it and drives into the garage, which is Nick wrecks a car on our bingo card, which we haven't gotten as much as I thought we would. Um,
Yeah.
but also this is another reason why they used a Ford Contour because they didn't want to wreck something more expensive. Um, but yeah, he's kind of fucked up after the wreck, and his wife
Hmm.
kind of brings him in. It's unclear whether she calls an ambulance or anything. It just kind of shows her like cuddling him in their house while he's like
Yeah, I
got
don't think she
open
does.
wounds. It's like,
Yeah.
what if he has a concussion or something?
I
But
mean, I
this,
don't think she doesn't want the publicity, right? She doesn't want camera crews and news and stuff like that showing up, you know?
and see, at this point, I started to suspect that he was going to go back to the oil exec and take the deal because he wants to get his life back on track. But then we were like, well, why would they make a movie about this if he just turns tail at the last minute? And I was like, yeah, you're right. There's no way. And then
That's ex
immediately gives in to the oil exec, and it shows him on this terribly green screen like oil rig power plant thing, and trying to convince a bunch of oil guys that he's looking out for their best interest and everything else. And then we see him jogging in Washington D.C. as if it's implied that he won.
hmm
When that's the end of the movie, which I have no idea why this needed to be made. I
I mean,
thought maybe it was going to be a guy standing up against the system, but that's not
right.
what it is. It's a guy that immediately gives into the system. So,
It to me, it just seemed like it was the whole point of the movie was to show that, you know, power will just destroy anybody kind of concept.
right, but he
I don't know.
wasn't an exceptionally good person to begin with.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so I don't know. Like, and he's all over the place. Like, okay, so he resigns and he loses his marriage, and that gets him off the wagon. That's tough stuff. Okay, but then he gets back on the wagon kind of easily,
Yeah.
which like it's a very difficult thing to deal with, and he seems to just kind of make the decision. Okay, I'm good to go now, and like gets back, and he's fine. But then Sarah Paulson's character is going to stay with her husband, and that's enough to kick him back off. And so it's a very kind of like back and forth. And then yeah, he just kind of is like, I'll just do whatever my wife wants me to do,
Yeah, it's very weird.
and
But
he
yeah,
just
that's how the
sells out.
movie ends. Normally at this point
Depressing.
in the podcast, very depressing. We go through and we look at some reviews from like extreme ends of the spectrum and kind of give us an idea, make sure we're not like in our own little bubble about what we think of the movie. So there's only two 10-star reviews and there's only two 1-star reviews.
Okay,
So not a lot on either end. Where should I start on these reviews,
let's
Derek?
start with the tens. Let's give me some
Tens?
reasons to be high on this film.
Okay. This is from M. Plotney, 10 out of 10. Honest film about politics. I highly recommend this film to everyone remotely interested in everyday politics. Get an idea of what politicians have to be like if they want to be honest versus if they want to be successful. This is not a thriller or a comedy, so if you're looking for something with a lot of digital effects, this is not a good film for you. Look for something else. But if you're in the mood for a down-to-earth, honest film, I think you'll enjoy this one. Very good acting and directing. Nicolas Cage is great, and so is the rest of the cast. The storyline is very realistic and does not really evolve around the horrendous BP oil spill. It's a drama pressures. It is a drama pressures that politicians succumb to. I don't really understand the last sentence, but yes,
Okay.
thank you, and Plotney. And then the other one is from TF Milts, who says, "Wow, surprise to me. I still may think Nicolas Cage's career is over based on many recent movies, but I dare say this was possibly, I think, his best performance ever. I didn't even know it was Cage. The story is terrific. The line his father gives is hilarious. You know what I say? F them, F the press, F the admin, and hell, F the people. I spent easily 25 minutes in my kitchen mastering that line. This movie has merit. The acting I really, really enjoy. It's easy to find. Cage's wife, Cold, made me think of House of Cards. Career brokered marriage, then phony guilt. Let's see. This is kind of a long one. Um, no idea why or how it's below 5 on ratings. I give it a 10. Matchstick Men, close for Cage. I don't nor will ever know Nicolas Cage. We're all just people, end of day. But I really like his work here, and in a few productions he's had an opportunity to connect with it in the past. I forgot who it was, actor, that said the only goal is to tell that story. Cage does that here. Guy who plays his father is tops. Wow, Peter Fonda, you don't get a mention, but Nicolas Cage. And I do think it's funny that this person saw Matchstick Men and still thought this was a better performance. And look, this was a good Nicolas Cage performance. We both agree with that, I think. But I don't
Yeah,
think it's better
yeah.
than Matchstick Men.
No, it is absolutely not. Matchstick Men is one of his like better roles and better movies. So
Agreed.
yeah.
So those are the two 10 stars. For 1 stars, we've got two also, like I mentioned. Rich Long, 2569, says, not a good movie. Nothing interesting happens in this movie. Nothing. It opens with some BP oil disaster nonsense in the aftermath of what happened to communities, etc., with Cage playing a congressman doing what he can for them. Unfortunately, Cage's character is a bit flawed, but this is hardly shown in an interesting way whatsoever. And a later scandal happens, it's actually hard to understand what the big deal was. The editing is terrible. The story is boring. The plot is poorly executed. Not that there is one really is interesting. Nothing interesting happens at all. The wife is a boring character. In fact, I'd say there are no interesting characters in this movie whatsoever. Now, I do actually like Cage in certain movies. He can act really maniacal at times, which is what we love him for. But here, any actor could have taken this role and done just as well. This is a slow-moving bore fest. Even the music is bad. I'd say the direction was spot on if the tone of this movie was meant to put you to sleep. Give this one a miss.
Oof.
And then we got Lopez Patricia, who says, wow, did you see the makeup on Cage and the rest? This film is about a dreadful man whom cheated on his wife and then resigned, and then sold his soul and went back on his beliefs to be a senator. And to boot, it was incredibly boring. Also, couldn't stop looking at Cage and the dreadful makeup he was wearing.
I guess I'm not. Maybe it's my color blindness. I don't notice that in this
Yeah,
movie
maybe.
very much.
But yeah, it is funny that like the one of the 1 star reviews says that he doesn't really see what the big deal is about the scandal, and then the other one immediately says that this is a dreadful man who cheated on his wife. So it's two very polar opposite things in the same, review score, which is
Hmm.
funny. But yeah, then now that we've read these, we have to give it our own score, both on caginess and on quality.
Hmm. Yeah. So our Cage O meter is a 20-point scale, one low, 20 high. He's been in over 100 productions, and so yeah, this is our 101st Nicolas Cage movie, for example. So we want to make sure that we can kind of zero in a little bit on these. I mean, look, it's certainly not it's not going to be on the high end of the spectrum, this one. We have certainly seen way worse.
Yeah,
So I want to be a little measured with it. So I'm thinking like I think I'm going to give it a I'm thinking an 8 for
yeah,
quality.
I was at a 7, so we're pretty
Okay.
close.
Okay. So that
I
gives it
think
a
it's
7 and
I think it's worse than like the average range
mhm.
of his movies, just a little bit. So 7, 8. I like I mentioned before, 8 to 12 is kind of where I go for his average movies. Yeah, this was just a little bit worse than I think his average
That's
in
fair.
terms of overall quality.
That's fair. I mean, just so you know, you gave a 7 to USS Indianapolis
Yeah, I would put this right there.
and Looking Glass.
Yeah, I don't even
Both of
remember. Oh, I
those.
do remember Looking Glass. Yeah, that's the one where
Yeah.
he peeps on somebody through a mirror, one-way mirror.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. We haven't given a lot of sevens. He also gave the Frozen Ground a 7.
Yeah, I think this
Um,
is right in line with those, so I'm happy with that score.
I do like Frozen Ground more than this one. But anyway, yeah, so then we have caginess. And I mean, I can't think of a cagey moment other than the accent in this movie.
Yeah, it's basically no cage rage or whatever you want to call it. He's plays it completely straight. I don't know if it's a 1. I don't think it's a 1, maybe a 2. for
That's kind of
me.
what I was thinking.
Because Pig would be like a 1.
Pig is a 1. We gave Pig a 1. And I think we gave Joe a 1. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, the accent makes it a little more,
Hmm.
slightly more cagey, but yeah, he doesn't really do any of kind of typical things that he gets hired for in this movie.
So there you go then. So a 7.5 on quality and a 2 on caginess, which puts it squarely in the low quadrant of the Cage-O-meter.
Which you generally want to avoid those movies.
Generally, like, because if it's high quality, high cagey, you get some super fun stuff, right? You get, obviously the unbearable weight of massive talent. You get things like Matchstick Men is in that quadrant as well. You get Leaving Las Vegas. You get a lot of really good movies. In the high quality low caginess, you get some other greats, Pig and Adaptation, for example. So those are just really great films. If you have low quality and high caginess, you get some fun silly stuff like Vampire's Kiss, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance,
Yeah.
right? So there's something redeeming about all of those movies. When you're low, unless it's the cast that you're really liking, those movies tend to not be something I would recommend most people.
Yeah, that's our avoid quadrant generally.
Generally, yeah. But you can see our whole Cage-O-meter. Go to comingofcage.com and see our interactive Cage-O-meter. It tends to lag behind the show a little bit. We do want you to listen or watch, but we do update it, lags behind a few episodes.
That's right.
So there you have it. Now, historically, I would have to add something to our Wheel O Cage, but alas, everything now is on the Wheel O Cage. All of the movies that we have not covered are officially on the Wheel of Cage. Movies include things like the first Ghost Rider, Dream Scenario, The Old Way, Captain Corelli's Mandolin, and more are still out there on the Wheel O Cage. So to find out which Nicolas Cage movie we talk about next time on the show, you'll have to check out our Wheel O Cage spin. And we talked a lot about Cage-O Bingo, so check out our Cage-O Bingo series to see if either of us snagged a bingo on this one.
That's right.
Ryan, anything else for The Runner?
Run away.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Coming of Cage podcast. I'm Derek, and that is Ryan.
We'll see you next time.